Hi guys, I'm Emma and welcome to Art by Emma. So for this week's video, I'm going to be exploring these Posca pens that I have purchased. Now, I don't know what type of Posca pens I'm really going to like. I work with the ones I've got, but these are a variety of different thicknesses and I've got them all in black, but I just wanted to try out the nibs and to see what they're like. So I've got these two really thick ones. I've got a 15mm and an 8mm, and they are the chisel tips. I've never really worked with the chisel tip Poscas before. I've always had the bullet tips, but yeah, I've got a 8mm bullet tip and an 8mm chisel tip, so let's see how they compare. So also in the bullet tip, I've got the 1.8 to 2.5mm, the 0.9 to 1.3mm and the 0.7mm. Now two of these I already have, but the middle one I don't. And then I also have the 0.7 pin type. And in addition to these, I've got the free size brush pen. These brush pens were the first set of Posca pens that I bought, but I never really got on with them and the brushes are all dried up. But after this week's video, I've decided I like them again, so I'm going to clean all them out and start using them again. So let's get these little beauties unwrapped and primed and let's see what we're working with. So I've chosen this notepad to work with. It's for every media and again the curse of working on shiny surfaces. So let's open this up and see what we're working with. So the first one I'm going to start with is this big boy and he is thick. So let's get this one primed and see how it performs. I've read quite often that it's very important to shake your Poscas, so I'm giving this one a good old shake, and there's a lot of paint in here sloshing around, so yeah, some of the paint has leaked out into the nib, so it's time to prime away. And the paint seems to present very differently on the chisel nibs. On the bullet one it tends to come down more uniformly, and I'm getting some blobs of paint and some parts of the chisel not covered, but yeah, it's getting there, we're getting there. And with a few practice strokes on my backing paper and a little bit more priming, I'm going to see what it looks like in my book. And with it being so very big and bulky, it's really hard to get a good grip on it, so I'm just going to try a few strokes and see what it feels like, what sort of effects I can get with it, and just checking the page behind for any leaking, and so far so good. And I have to be honest with you, it is a strange one to work with. It's a little bit draggy, maybe it's not primed properly, but we'll persevere with it, carry on and see what we think. So I'm just going to carry on working through these pens, unwrapping them, priming them, trying them out on my pad to see what I think of them, trying to devise an idea how I can use them in a project this week. Some of these pens, especially the thick ones, took a hell of a lot of priming just to get the ink flowing. I kind of like these chisel ones because you can get thick lines and thin lines and like calligraphy type lines with them. So just checking again that there was no bleeding through the pages, and there was not. So many different sizes of these pens, it's hard to decide which one I like the best and which ones I'm going to use in my project and what I'm going to do for my project. I don't think I've ever started a video not knowing what actually I'm going to do, just having the media in place. Normally it's the other way around. I know what I want to do, I've just got to think about how I'm going to do it. And finally, I've come up with a plan, and this plan involves watercolours. I've got two different lots of watercolours, these ones in tubes that I've never used before, and the palette watercolours. Now I know you're probably all thinking to yourself, watercolours? I thought this was a video about Posca pens, but just wait a moment and all will become clear. Because this video seems to have a theme of trying new things, I'm going to go for these tube watercolours because I've not tried them before and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. They come in this range of lovely colours and it is student grade. What does that even mean? And I don't actually know what I'm doing here, just showing off the box, so yay, ta-da! And I'm just whipping out a crusty palette. I've got quite a few of these that need washing and this is the least dirty out of all of them. So yeah, I'm going to start working with this palette, putting the tube paints in and yeah, experimenting I guess. And I'm going to use the full range of rainbow colours. So yeah, just putting the paint in the palette. I don't know if I'm meant to be mixing it with water or mixing the water with the paint on the paper. I really don't know. I'm just really winging it. So just lightening this blue up a little bit because it's a little bit dark for what I want. And first of all, mixing a little bit of water with the paint in the palette to see what sort of consistency we get. And now it's time to see what it looks like on the paper. That looks really quite bold, and I'm looking for more of a watery consistency, so put my thinking cap on again, I think. And take 2, I've decided to do a water wash all over the page before I start painting. And with a little dap, I seem to be getting the consistency, the effect, what I'm looking for. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just going to loosely do some watercolour colours all over the paper, and then I'm going to see what inspires me, and I'm going to outline what I see in the pictures with my Posca pens. That's the plan anyway. So this seems to be going okay. I'm just working all the different rainbow colours in around each other. It's getting a bit muddy in places, but let's see what we can do with this. And I seem to have just a lot of muddy water build-up on the paper now, so I don't know what to do with that. I think I'm going to use a piece of paper and blot it. So here's the piece of paper that I pulled out of the pad earlier on my first attempt at watercolouring. So I'm just going to pop it on top of my painting, using the term loosely, press it down, pull it off and see what we're left with. Drum roll please, waiting to see what we're being left with, and do you know what? It's not looking too bad, and not a bad imprint on the other side either. So I'm going to leave that to dry before I continue with this picture. And there we have it all dried. I've got a little bit of inspiration, but first of all we need to tear it out of the book. Now I was a bit worried about the pens dragging on this paper, especially with the watercolour on top, so I've devised another idea. I'm going to put the paper behind glass in this frame, and then I'm going to use my watercolours to draw on top of it. So I had a bit of a fight with this frame, trying to get the piece in, etc, etc, so I didn't bother showing that, but there it is in the frame and it looked quite nice, except yes, the curse of filming on shiny surfaces. So here's my Posca pens, and the idea I have is that it looks like flowers in a meadow. So I'm just going to do some loose outlines of flowers where I see flower shapes on here, and let's see what happens. So this turned out pretty much as I imagined it would, so I liked doing it so much I've decided to do another one, and this time I've got the idea in my head before I've even started. Because I've done like a spring summer-esque scene, I thought it would be nice to do an autumn or a winter one. Now winter doesn't really have a lot of colours in it, but autumn really does. So I'm going to put a water wash over the paper again, and I'm going to attempt to do a loose watercolour painting of an autumn tree, using all those lovely autumnal colours, browns, reds, oranges and yellows. So this is kind of looking like something like my 3-year-old would have painted, but I wanted something loose, and loose I got. I want the detail to be within the Posca pens. So I'm going to use the two that I didn't use in the first picture, this big thick chisel tipped pen and the paint pen, because I haven't used them a lot. I really want to get a good feel for them. So with a nice little basic tree and branch formation there, it's time to whip out this paint pen, the one with the paintbrush nib, and draw in hundreds and hundreds of leaves. Like I said before, I've had this set of Posca markers, the one with the brush tip, and I've not really enjoyed using them. But after drawing all these leaves in, and it's such a smooth line, gives such a nice result, I'm going to clean up the brushes of my Posca paint pens with the paintbrush nib and start using them, because I've really enjoyed this. So the hand cramp is real, guys. Just drawing in all these hundreds and hundreds of leaves is quite hand cramping, but very, very satisfying to do. And here's my finished pictures. This is my spring summer flower ensemble, looking very pretty there out in the nice sunny garden. And this is my autumnal tree. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I enjoyed doing these pictures. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.